Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike, welcome you to the channel, and this is the first episode of presenting indie games, where every week we're gonna look at one indie game, look into the gameplay, look into the mechanics, also give a little bit background to it, and at the end then also give an overall evaluation and summary. If you're interested, please watch till the end, and let's start! This week we're going to talk about Dagon, which is available on Steam and GOG.com. Quick note, this video is divided in chapters, so if you don't want to hear anything about the story, the background, the mechanics, and want just go straight into the rating and evaluation summary, just look at the chapter that interests you, and let's go. So what is the background of this game? Dagon is actually a short story by American author H.P. Lovecraft. It was written in July 1917 and is one of the first stories that Lovecraft wrote as an adult, and is considered by many to be one of his most forward-looking stories. It was also published in 1919 in the edition of The Vagrant, issue 11. So what was the actual story of the game? And is it based on the short story by Lovecraft? I can give you the answer straight directly, yes. So the story is based on a drug addict, or more specifically a morphine addict officer in service during World War I. Gets captured by the Imperial German Sea Raiders and then escapes on a lifeboat. And then on this lifeboat, he basically gets stranded on a mysterious, not island, but an area, which is not the sea. And and then just sees like a kind of a hellish fish everywhere around, creatures everywhere around, some recognizable, some are not. And then during that time, when he's on that mysterious area, he basically finds an object, more like a wall, and then looking at the wall, there are stories on this wall, or signs of mystical creatures, and then looking at that, from the water under the wall, a sea monster creature arises, worships this wall object, and then the unnamed narrator basically snaps out of the stream, wakes up, and and then sees on his desk that he was on, like I said, took morphine, had a note, heard some noises on the knocking on the door at the same time, and then following his fear, he jumped out of the window. And the quick meaning of the story basically is that the serviceman had these fears, these hallucinations, and it's more about the suicide of him and what drugs and fears and war can do to a person. So how is the actual game? So the mechanics are more specifically designed for VR, to immerse yourself into the story, because it is a visual novel. And the movement, there's no movement. There's very limited direction of camera. You can go left to right, you can zoom in, but you can't actually move. Then you have these different sections and environments based on the story, which is very faithfully adapted. And I played that game fully on my Twitch channel, and here are some highlights and clips from it. So Dagon is a faithful, interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. Yeah, I can hear that already from the sound. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot. Okay, that's interesting. That is in there. You can read the discover trivia immediately or go back to the later in the main menu. Turn off displaying trivia if you find that feature distractive from the story. This can be changed at any time in the options. Okay. Okay, nice.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know.
Details I should never
My
know.
slumber though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Here we go.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly.
Sound?
The towering
Water
stars
sound, nice,
that
nice.
hemmed in the chasm. The writing
I assume
was
that's
in
the
a
last
system
part
of
here?
hieroglyphics unknown to me, and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books.
Yeah, this was...
Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound. Stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
Oh, what did you saw, young man?
With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Here we go, what's going on? Ooh.
Loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Okay.
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as if...
Nothing here, nothing here.
It shall not find me.
Okay.
God, that hand!
Ah, he's coming for him.
The window! The window!
So what is my overall impression and evaluation of this game? There are a lot of pros and cons, but let's start with the pros. So firstly, the narration and the voice actor was really good. He really emphasized how the narrator felt, really conveyed the emotions and the fear in his voice. So that's a top. Secondly, the sound design and atmosphere combined. It was going hand in hand. So that wherever you were, there were a lot of environments, and for a pre-game, quite impressive looking as well. And the sound design was supporting that. So everywhere where you were, the sound design either made it hasty, made it calming, based on the environment, and that was quite impressive. So that's also a top. Thirdly, the deep dives, the secret deep dives into the story, the background of the short story, and the author as well. I was quite impressed by that. So it gave a different insight and a little bit more details to the actual game environment and the story. And yeah, I was quite impressed by that one as well. And fourth, this is a very small one. It is a free game, but everywhere where you had a light source, it was visually looking very good for a visual novel. And yeah, I mean, like I said, quite impressive. The lighting, with the source within the game environment, top. Now let's move to the cons. There are very few cons. So firstly, which is not really a complaint, but it is a short game, 20, 30 minutes. And I would much more play more of it and pay for it. So, I mean, this goes hand in hand. So basically, if the developer would make the game longer, I would also pay for this game. So hopefully he will do that in the future. Secondly, in some of the dark environments, so basically where you didn't have a light source, not in all of them, but in few of them where you didn't have a light source, it was quite difficult to spot or see what was going on. And that also is followed by the VR intended mechanics. So as a PC player, it was quite unintuitive for me to see what was going on, um, and see the details of it. But like I said, this game is more designed for VR, so this is not really a con. This is more just the direction of to what audience the developer wants to cater. But I can understand why he did it. Like I said, this is just a purely story-based visual novel, and obviously VR is better for immersion than just playing on mouse and keyboard. And yeah, so my overall rating to this game, I would say, based on the pros and cons, it is a solid 7 out of 10. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed, and see you next week.